Well, hello and welcome along to the Sweet Spot, brought to you by the Racing Post in association with the AK Bets. The dust is beginning to settle now from what was a magnificent Open Championship at Royal Troon, and our intrepid tipster Steve Palmer was in red hot form. More on that, but he is away this week, taking a well-earned break. But a very able deputy in the champ, Joe Champion, joins us. Joe, how are you?
Hi, Dave. Very good. Thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. It's not. Do you know what? You're the first person to ask me how I am, Joe. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you. Right, I know who you are. One of my friends is a big follower of yours. RFO every week. Tell us where people can read you, your tips and thoughts every week, Joe, and who you are.
Yeah, I'm the lead golf tipster for the Racing and Football Outlet, which comes out every Tuesday in all good newsagents and some rubbish ones as well. And it's also available on the Monday evening for Racing Post members club subscribers via the digital edition.
Lovely stuff. Right, the pleasantries out of the way. What a golf tournament it was last week, Joe. We'll get into both of them, but a magical Open.
Yeah, fantastic. What a finish we had there. I mean, Xander Schauffele just absolutely nerveless. I know Steve was very, very sweet on him, and a superb final round 65 to win by 2 shots. I was struck just by how nerveless he was actually on Sunday. He was superb in that final round. He led the way in greens hit in regulation. He hit 16 of 18 greens. I mean, that is how you get around Troon in the final round. Didn't find a single bunker. Just brilliant from Xander, and he could continue to go on and win more majors. I think he's got plenty more in him. He's still a young man.
He is. Exciting times ahead. And yeah, fantastic tipping from Steve. We'll get into that. He managed to bag both winners. Right, you are joining us here on the Racing Post YouTube channel. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe. I'll try and dig out a few of the comments from last week. Loads of people following Steve in, which is lovely. We'd like to hear from you, who you're playing, who you fancy, who you've backed. Before we get into the action, welcome offer with AK Bets, our sponsor. It is very, very simple. You're going to need the code SweetSpot25. Open an account with AK Bets. Place your first bet on any golf market. The only qualifier is minimum odds 10 to 11. It can be any single golf market, and you'll get 50% of your stake back as a free bet up to £25, regardless of what happens. It used to be if your player missed the cut. It's now whatever happens. So SweetSpot25 is the code you'd like there. We've had some fun last week, Joe. You was a guest on it as well. We had the watch along live, 4 hours of action, 4 hours of Steve's company is always entertaining. If you have missed that, you can jump onto the Racing Post YouTube channel and check back this. Of course, there was a rendition of This Will Not Be Beaten as well. There couldn't not be with Steve bagging a winner. So that was all good fun. Right, let's get into the meat of it then, shall we? It was the 152nd Open Championship at Royal Troon, the final major of the year. Joe, a final round of 65, which was magical, which meant that we had a very comfortable winner. It was the Open throughout, but a comfortable winner in the end. Xander Schauffele was put up by Steve at a big price. I think it was 12s or 14s, along with Nick Dunlap at 40 to 1 as well. So all good stuff, but we've already mentioned it. What a performance, what a final round.
Yeah, what a player. He didn't, he started slowly actually on Sunday, didn't he? They always say you should start quickly at Troon. Those are the scoring holes, those early sort of first 6 holes before you get to the tougher holes, you get to the postage stamp. But Schauffele didn't start that well. It was John Rahm who actually came flying out the traps, and everyone was thinking, right, John Rahm's coming. But Schauffele, he held his nerve. He just paced himself into his round and really was just superb on the back 9. Second major of the year. I mean, do we have to think, Dave? Everyone's talking about Scotty Scheffler and what a season he's had, but on the balance of things, has Xander Schauffele had a better season than Scotty Scheffler? 2 majors, better than 1. I know Scheffler's won, I think, 6 times this year, including that great defense of the Players. But at the end of the day, these golfers will be measured on how many majors they win at the end of their careers, and Schauffele's got 2 in the bag. That's the same as Scheffler. Very hard to talk about both of them at the same time. I think there's not much between them when it comes to the years they've had now.
Yeah, I mean, to win 2 in a year, in a season, is incredible, and very few have been able to do that in their career.
Yeah, Brooks Koepka was the last person to do it, I believe, in 2018. Since then, we've had single major winners each year. So a superb achievement. I think he He can go on and win more. He's already got that PGA in the bag. No reason why he can't win the Masters. He's already contended several times for the Masters. He has to be on everyone's radar in Augusta in sort of 9 months' time. And then US Open should set up well for a player of his capabilities. I could see him winning the career slam. I think the sky is the limit for Schauffele. We'll come on to it in a minute, but the Olympics next week, he's defending champion there as well. Huge chance then as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, plenty of Olympics chat next week as well. Olympics will be tackling that in more depth. Leaderboard then was littered with big names. We had Justin Rose and Billy Horschel tied for second in the end, Joe. Tristan Lawrence tied for fourth. Russell Henley tied for fifth. What were your takeaways outside an impressive winner?
Well, you say big names, Dave, and they are to us golf punters, and obviously Justin Rose and Billy Horschel have won plenty, but they were both available at three-figure odds. They would have been surprise winners despite their sort of pedigree. They played really well. I can't really fault either of Horschel or Rose. They coped brilliantly on Saturday when conditions were getting really tough. And then they didn't lose it. I think Schauffele took it from them. Both of them reached 7 under. They both shot under par final rounds. And the same goes for Tristan Lawrence as well. The real surprise name on the leaderboard, certainly once sort of Dan Brown fell away. And I think me and Steve, we were discussing on the watch along on Sunday whether Lawrence would have it in him over the back nine. He didn't go out and win it, but he didn't disgrace himself. He played well and he made that excellent par save on 18 to finish in solo fourth. That'll mean a lot to Tristan Lawrence. He's a guy who's won 4 times on the DP World Tour, but never contended in a tournament like the Open. Huge confidence boost for him. Good player. Could see him doing it again in the future if he can go to the next level.
So when we look back on this Open, Joe, I think we're just going to look at it as it was competitive until the final day.
Very much so. Competitive until the sort of last 7 or 8 holes on the back nine, really. Schauffele's class wins out. I did think going into that final round that it would be one of Schauffele or Scheffler that got it done. I just didn't know which one. You could make a case for either of them. And so it proved. Just a shout out to the 2 English guys that finished in a tie of 10th as well. Dan Brown and Matthew Jordan. They're both in the Open next year. Great result for them. Really pleased. And they'll be back. Obviously, Steve's a big fan of Jordan. He'll have to talk himself out of tipping him for next year's Open.
Yeah, and just quickly, you mentioned Scotty Scheffler there. I think some of his stats were truly incredible. I think he ranked number 1 tee to green and then something like 68th putting, which kind of told the story, didn't it?
Yeah, that's the kind of the Scheffler of last year, really, and the very start of this year. I think he's pretty much proven that he can putt when the pressure's on. Sometimes you just have an off day. We know he's not the best putter in the game. His ball striking is so good that often that doesn't matter. Even if he has an average putting week, he's still a huge threat. It's not like he's not going to get more chances to contend for the Open.
Good stuff. Right, that was the 152nd Open Championship. Also going on, Joe, was the Barracuda Championship. Now we'll chuck up the final leaderboard, which will look a little bit different here with some big numbers. Not over par, I'll add. These are points that were scored. Winner Nick Dunlap plus 49. Then we've gone a number of perhaps unknown names to the casual golf punter in behind. Vince Whaley, Patrick Fishburne, Mac Meisner, Taylor Pendrith. But more importantly, Nick Dunlap at 40 to 1, which was part of I've written it down here, 532 to 1 double for our tipster Steve Palmer. So wonderful stuff. Did you manage to catch much of the Barracuda, Joe?
I'm afraid not. I was a bit wiped out after the Open. I've caught some of the highlights and so I checked the score first thing Monday morning. I was absolutely delighted for Steve. What a double. Couldn't believe my eyes when I saw Dunlap had won, actually. But that's not because he's not a talented player. He's already proved that he's a huge talent. You remember, Dave, of course, he won the American Express as an amateur at the start of the year. Becomes the first player to win as an amateur and a professional in the same year on the PGA Tour. Great final round performance, flawless, very much like Schauffele, 7 birdies and an eagle at 15. It was the eagle that won it for him, really. Get 5 points for an eagle in the Barracuda Championship. Came from a long way back to win. That put him in position. He made a birdie on the 17th, 2 points clear of Vince Whaley, who's a sort of journeyman. They're definitely not in the Dunlap mold. Dunlap could be an absolute star. He'd be delighted to have finally received a winner's check as well. He, of course, didn't get one for winning the Amex as an amateur. The winner's check went to Christian Bezaden, who on that occasion gets $500,000 for his Barracuda win. He's into the world's top 50. Really bright future. He probably won't be playing in this tournament next year because he almost certainly be in the field for the 153rd Open. Looks to have it all, really. Long off the tee, good putter, solid iron player, really bright future. And yeah, the sky's the limit for him as well. I'm one to take out of it, I think, Matt Mesner. He didn't have his best game on Sunday, but he's finished in the top 20 in 5 of his last 8 events. Really improving performer, solid all-rounder. I think he could break through soon as well. One to watch on the PJ Tour later in the season when we get to those full series events, I think.
All right, there you go. I was just about to ask you about that, Joe, because he's been sort of in the frame, bang there, quite a few times in recent months. So there you go. I can confirm that Steve wasn't checking the scores on Monday morning. My WhatsApp confirmed that he was still up at 2 a.m. on Sunday night. So party central, I'm assuming, in the Palmer household. And I mentioned some of the comments. Now, I'll read some out from last week's show, people that have jumped on since. Frankie Burton says, nothing like a juicy double. Only 6 hours until work. This was on Monday morning. But what a night, Dunlap and Xander double. Beautiful, Steve. Running on fumes. Enjoy the week off, my friend. Martin McKibbin, don't know if there's any relation there, says, unbelievable, Steve. You made my Christmas with the Højgaard Aberg double at the end of November. Now you've made my summer with this one. Another one from Giles says, great work, Steve. What a performance. Impressive. 2 legs of the face spitter. Ever confident you'll get the 4-up 1 year. What a player. There you go. So good stuff. Glad, and Steve will be glad to hear, I'm sure, that everyone has followed him in. Right, Joe, we better get stuck into this week's action because there's plenty of it. We're going to start with the 3M Open here. And we are off to TPC Twin Cities, I think in Minnesota. What can you tell us about the track?
Yeah, very right, Dave. TPC Twin Cities in Blaine, Minnesota. This is a 7,431-yard par 71 layout. This course previously staged a Champions Tour event and underwent renovations ahead of its PJ Tour debut in 2019. They wanted to toughen up this course, but those renovations didn't really do a lot. It's been a pretty easy course for the PJ Tour professionals. Lee Hodges won this event last year. He shot a tournament record 24 under par. The average winning score is 19.2 under par. So sort of chalk and cheese to what we got last week at Troon. I think not necessarily an advantage to have played at Troon last week. This course has favoured some big hitters. Matt Wolff, Cam Champ and Tony Finau have all won there. But so too have Hodges. He's a short hitter. And Michael Thompson. So you don't necessarily have to be a bomber to succeed. Cam Champ, huge hitter, but he putted the lights out that week. Generally, though, the key to success has been iron play. All 4 of the other champions ranked in the top 4 for strokes gained approach. So setting up birdie chances is crucial. And if you can roll in a few putts, then you've got a good chance.
Wonderful. Right, good stuff. Let's get a show then, shall we? Now, as is tradition, AK Bets, top price, the Jolly, Tony Finau, 12-1. Ashkay Bhatia, 20s. And then we've got Thigala, 22. Sam Burns, 22s. Billy Horschel, 28. West Ham's Billy Horschel, 28. Luke Clanton, 28. Keegan Bradley, Ryder Cup captain for the USA, 35s. Tom Hoagie, 35s as well. Right, if I give you the big build-up, Joe, you're going to really unleash some decibels on us with the lead selection like Steve often does, or are you just going to give a nice, sensible, professional delivery? Who is the lead selection for the 3Ms, Joe?
The lead selection is Ashkay Bhatia at 20-1 with AK Bets. I'm a bit more reserved than Steve, as you know, Dave, but I'll give it my best shot for some of these. Ashkay Bhatia, he missed the cut last week at the Open on the number. He didn't play too badly on it. His Open debut, I'm happy to forgive that. Making his debut on a links course, he won't have played a lot of links golf. And it could even work to his advantage. He got to come home on Friday night or Saturday morning, maybe, And this is a completely different test. It's a low scoring US Parkland layout, completely different to what he got at Troon last week. And I think he really will enjoy it here on his tournament debut. He's looked a star in the making for a while. He won the Barracuda Championship last season, obviously the same tournament we had last week. And then he won his second PGA Tour title at the Texas Open in April. He's gone close again recently. He was fifth at the Travelers Championship. That was a signature event, a lot of big names there. And then he was second at the Rocket Mortgage Classic as well. He blew a winning chance of the Rocket Mortgage. He shot a Sunday 72. He was reeled in by Cam Davis. More on Cam Davis later. But this is a 22-year-old who is going places. And TPC Twin Cities, it should suit him down to the ground. Akshay Bhatia, he doesn't have many weaknesses, but his best attributes arguably is putting and his iron play. He demonstrated that at the Rocket Mortgage. He makes his course debut this week, but that was also the case at the Travelers when he finished fifth. Those who play well in the Rocket Mortgage have a great record at Twin Cities. Tony Finau, our tournament favourite this week, has won both tournaments. Matt Wolff won the 3M Open and was a Rocket Mortgage Classic runner-up. Colin Morikawa, he's finished runner-up in both of them. So a lot of course correlation between those two venues. Bhatia, runner-up at the Rocket Mortgage, has a great chance of going one better at the Free Open. Huge talent. I think he can land a third PGA Tour title.
And you answered my question in your monologue there, Joe. Is that I was going to ask how old is he? Because he's not a name that's been on the scene for too long, and he's just 22.
Yep, just 22. And he's, unlike most American professional golfers, he didn't go down the college route. He decided to go through kind of minor league tours and the Korn Ferry Tour route, and earned his PGA Tour cards that way. I think college golfers, if you look at like Ludwig Aberg, he's been on the scene for less time than Akshay Bhatia, but he's actually about 3 years older. Bhatia already won twice, of course. Some of these guys that are breaking through your kind of amateurs who are suddenly sort of appearing on leaderboards with regularity are sort of still 23, 24. So some of them are older than Akshay Bhatia. Nick Dunlap's only 20, so he's still got a couple of years on him there.
The future is bright. Well, I didn't ask you, Joe, how many you tipping for this tournament? That's the lead selection. How many?
Well, I've got 5 in total, Dave, so 4 more.
Okay, right. Strap yourself in. Who's the next best?
It's Cam Davis at 40-1, the man who denied Akshay Bhatia at the Rocket Mortgage Classic. I think he can double up in Minnesota. He's already done a Rocket Mortgage double, having won that tournament twice. He was frustrated last week, Dave. He went to Troon as the first alternate and didn't get in the field. That was despite Sebastian Soderberg's withdrawal before the tournament. We mentioned the other day there are 158 runners going to post for the Open. That's unusual. It usually be 156. So when Soderberg came out, they didn't need an alternate. They would only want one if the field was reduced to 155. So Cam Davis was left sitting around waiting for a game. So he's definitely playing with something to prove this week. And to make matters worse, that was the second year in a row, would you believe, when he's been first alternate at the Open and he hasn't got in.
Ouch.
So he's absolutely sick of coming to the UK, but he's back in America now. He'll be determined to make sure that doesn't happen again. And the best way he can do that is by winning more golf tournaments. He was out of form heading into the Rocket Mortgage, but he found form in all areas of the game that week. And once again, his approach play was firing on all cylinders. That is the biggest strength in Cam Davis's game when he's at his best. He followed up that win with a respectable 26th place finish in the Scottish Open, and he knows he can contend in this course, at this course rather. He's teed it up in all 5 previous 3M Opens, missed the cut in the first one in 2019 as a young player, but he's since finished 12th, 28th, 16th and 10th. So he's clearly comfortable at the venue. That 10th place finish, that came 2 weeks after he missed the cut in the Scottish Open and then had to sit around waiting to see if he'd get into the Open. So clearly played better in Scotland a fortnight ago than he did last year. Possible he returns in even better form this time around.
I think he'll be in next year. I think he'll be in. But fire in the belly, I like that, Joe. That's the motivation there. Cam Davis at 40-1. I do like that one. Right, third in is...
Well, it's another one of those amateur stars. He's just turned professional, and that's Neil Shipley at 100-1. I've got 3 treble figure odds selections coming now, Dave. So Neil Shipley, he looks a big price. obviously came to the attention of the wider golfing community at the Masters, where he was a low amateur. And then he followed up by finishing 26th as an amateur at the US Open at Pinehurst on a super tough golf course. He's got into both those events as the US amateur runner-up. He's another one of these amateurs with a bright future. Your Dunlaps, Luke Clanton's very high in the betting this week as well. These guys just seem to step out of college and can immediately start shining on the PGA Tour these days. He's played 3 times since on the PGA Tour, 20th at the Rocket Mortgage Classic, 4 times since rather. He's 20th at the Rocket Mortgage Classic on his PGA Tour professional debut. Missed the cut at the John Deere, bounced back to finish 6th for the ISCO Championship, and then he was 40th at the Barracuda last week. That Barracuda 40th, it might not look too good, but he struck his irons absolutely brilliantly. He led the field in strokes gained approach. He gained over 8 strokes on the rest of the Barracuda field. Obviously, it's not a stroke play tournament, but if it had been, he would have gained 8 strokes on the rest of the field with his pinpoint iron play. He didn't putt very well last week, but that hasn't really been a problem in his career to date. He putted well at the ISCO when he finished 6th. Looks a real threat if you can put both top-class iron play and putting together. Those attributes have really sort of seen people shine at the 3M Open.
I thought you was going to say he came to the attention of punters when he used to lead the line for Crystal Palace, because that is a name that haunts me forever, because, of course, he scored the winner in the playoff final against West Ham. But, of course, that is a different Neil Schauffele. It's spelt by forename and surname spelt differently. But, right, that is the first of big prices for us, Joe. Who else you got?
The next one is Pearson Coody at the same price, 100 to 1, another rising star with every chance of contending for a first PGA Tour title this week. He's already won 3 times on the Corn Ferry Tour, so he's not scared of winning. And his 2 wins on US mainland soil came at courses where there were bent grass greens. That's the type of green he's going to get this week. He went close at the Charles Schwab Challenge in May, finished 5th on a top-class leaderboard. The 4 players that finished above him were Davis Riley, Keegan Bradley, Scotty Scheffler and Colin Morikawa. He's been putting superbly over the last 2 months, including when second, when he was beaten in a 5-man playoff 2 weeks ago at the ISCO by Harry Hall. I know Steve was on that week. I think Steve, given the amount of winners he's had recently, will probably let that one go. But that was a missed opportunity for Coody, but he will learn from that. He needs to tighten up his iron play around here, but if he can, then he's a big danger. He was very accurate with his irons when he finished 5th at Colonial. I think if he can get back to that sort of level and continue putting as well as he had, then he's a big threat.
Good stuff. Watch your bets there as well, because I did check. Then Parker Coody is in the field as well, so watch your bets there. Pearson Coody for Joe. And finally,
you don't want to. You can try and wander into a bookie and just write P Coody down on your betting slip and see what happens.
Don't encourage that sort of behaviour, all right, Joe? None of that in here.
No, I used to work for a well-known high street bookmaker, Dave, so I know all the tricks. But the final one is Zach Blair at 135 to 1. Perhaps not the kind of progressive player like a Shipley or a Coody, but he's worth an each-way bet this week. He's more on the sort of Lee Hodges, Michael Thompson end of the spectrum in that he's a bit of a journeyman. He's accurate more than he is powerful, but most importantly, he's been striking his irons really well in recent weeks as well, particularly at the ISCO where he was second in strokes gained approach. Didn't putt well last week when he missed the cut at the Barracuda, but again, he struck his irons really well. He played well on his 3M Open debut last season when he was 13th, shot a closing 64, so clearly warmed to the course as the tournament went on. I think Zach Blair, decent chance that he could contend again at a big price.
Good stuff. Lovely, Joe. 5 to go to war with there. A word on the Jolly, Tony Finau.
Yeah, I think you have to respect Finau. He probably will just go off favourite for this event every year he decides to play it, because he is one of the big guns that's been loyal to the event. He clearly likes it. He won it a couple of years ago, but he is short enough. We know he has struggled to win in the past. He's won one event in the last 18 months. That was the Mexico Open. That was a pretty weak field. I think him and John Rahm were there. And aside from that, there was no one else in the world's top 50. A lot of respect for Tony Finau, but I can happily leave him at that sort of price.
Okay, what about Thigala and Sam Burns?
Thigala's got a very poor record here. I think he's missed 3 cuts at Twin Cities. Burns, definitely could see Burns bouncing back. He obviously was in contention of the Open, then got blown off course over the weekend. I just think a grueling 4 rounds round Troon is gonna test anyone, and it's maybe not ideal preparation for this event. That the same goes for your man Billy Horschel, and Justin Rose is also in the field as well. So I just think it's very difficult for them to come over, contend in a major, and then suddenly be able to switch to a completely different style of golf.
Yeah, 60-1, Justin Rose. I missed him actually because he's so far down the betting nowadays, which kind of suggested what an effort and achievement it was last week, Joe.
Yeah, there will be people who are keen on Justin Rose, but he was in pretty poor form prior to the Open. He's got a lot of work to do, actually, if he wants to get into the FedEx Cup playoffs. We should mention there's only 2 regular season events left on the PGA Tour. The Olympics doesn't count. So we've got this week and we've got the Wyndham Championship in 2 weeks' time. There'll be a lot of people that are around that kind of top 70 mark that need to play well to get in. So Rose is one of them, and hopefully he can do himself justice, but it will be a huge effort if he can go and win again after finishing second last week.
And the final one I'll ask you about, Joe, is a player that is the same price that he was last week, and his name is Nick Dunlap.
Yeah, I did have a good old look at Nick Dunlap for this. I just think it's very difficult for a player, especially a player of his age, to go and win again a week later. Maybe he is overpriced, but I do think it's tough. He didn't. I mean, the circumstances are different now to when he won at the Amex, but he struggled a bit after that win. There was obviously a kind of will he, won't he turn professional. In the end, he opted to turn professional, but I think it's a big ask.
I'm not suggesting you know him, Joe, but what sort of bloke do you think he is? Do you think it would be party time afterwards, or he just regroup and go again and be a pro?
I don't know, Dave. He's only 20, so he's not allowed to drink in America, remember? So I don't think that would stop me at his age anyway.
Steady on. Let us know in the comments below. What do you think of Nick Dunlap? Can he follow up, or will it be a hangover from... Right, anything else of note there, Joe?
No, I think we can roll on to our second tournament, Dave.
We can. Right, our second tournament is going to be here in the UK. The JCB Golf and Country Club. We are LIV Golf here. What do you know about the course, Joe? We'll start with the new Toxeter, as far as my research went.
Well, as the name suggests, it was owned by the company that builds the diggers, the JCBs. The JCB Golf and Country Club opened in 2018, so it's a very new golf course, one of the most exclusive golf courses in the UK. It's a par 71, 7,255 yards. It's a stunning looking course. They've obviously built it with top class golf tournaments in mind. Utilizes a lot of natural landscape. There's water in play on a number of holes because the Toxeter Canal and the Alders Brook both run alongside the course. It looks an interesting course, actually, very visually. There's an Island Green 17th. We've heard that one before. 244 yard par 3. That's a brutal hole. Obviously, it's not going to be one of the finishing holes on the LIV Tour with the shotgun start. It will be for 1 or 2 unlucky people, but there's also scoring holes. There's 2 drivable par 4s. The second and 12th are both a little over 300 yards. The fairways are wide here. It's quite wide fairways, small greens, significant sort of bunkering around the greens, runoff areas. Scrambling is going to be an asset here, I think. The JCB has hosted a one-round event on the Rose Ladies Series in 2020. That was run by Gabriella Cowley, I think, and 2 European Senior Tour events here as well. Alex Checker and Peter Baker won those. Checker reached 11 under through 3 rounds, and the last year's event was only 2 rounds due to bad weather. So the course is no pushover, but I do expect the winner to still reach double digits under par. The LIV guys should be good enough to kind of get to a sort of 12, 14 under number.
Give us a key attribute then, Joe, for that one. What are you saying?
I would go with scrambling around the green, really. I think there's going to be some quite small greens here. So you certainly don't need to be accurate off the tee. Iron play and scrambling look like the ones to concentrate on.
And how far is that 17th? 244?
244. Yeah, it's a real brute.
Oh, mate, I'm laying up on the par 3 all day long. That is brutal. Look out for who starts there. You wouldn't want that as your first hole. No. Of course, you forget it's a shotgun start. Right. Let's get into the market then. And I've double checked, treble checked, and nearly fell off my chair because often AK Bets is the place to go if you want to back the jolly. But at the time of recording, incredibly, they are not top price. The favourite here, the favourite is Jon Rahm, 7-1. Now, there's 15-2 available elsewhere, so maybe we'll forgive AK. But that might be a clue in itself. You know, perhaps they're trying to keep Jon Rahm on side. I don't know, but there you go, incredible. Most players underneath are still top price of AK Bets. We've got Bryson DeChambeau at 8-1. Who else we've got here? Till Hatton at 9s. We've also got Neiman at 11s. Sergio Garcia at 14s. Then we've got 18s. Brooks Koepka and Cam Smith. How many in the team, Joe?
I've got 2 for this one, Dave.
2. Nice and solid, strong selections. And who's the lead selection?
It's the man directly below Jon Rahm, and that's Bryson DeChambeau at 8-1. I see he's been hanging out with Donald Trump again, so no surprise he released that video a day after the Open. He won't catch too much flack from the press on the LIV Tour this week, I don't think. But hopefully that won't affect his golf game anyway. He didn't perform well last week, but Bryson and Links Golf, he admits that he's found it hard to crack Links Golf. He missed the cut. For someone who puts so much stock in data, numbers, science, it's probably no surprise that he's struggled on a course where you need to be creative. You need to do something different. I don't think that's necessarily cause for concern with this in mind. This is a different type of golf course. And it looks like a Bryson DeChambeau course, really. Big, wide fairways. He can use his power to get close up to the green. He can drive those 2 drivable par 4s. There's short par 5s he can take advantage of. The wide fairways help him to do that. He's demonstrated his scrambling ability as well in winning the US Open, in finishing second at the USPGA. Generally been just sort of brilliant all round in major competitions this year. Until the Open, he was sick for the Masters as well. And he's still waiting for his breakthrough on the LIV Tour this year. But he won twice on the LIV Tour last year. Two of his wins, they came in the last 4 regular season events. So he likes to peak at this time of the year. He won at the Greenbrier last season, 2 weeks after finishing 60th at the Open. So he's shown in the past that he can shrug off an Open disappointment. And he want to finish this season on a high. Prior to the miscut at Troon, he finished 3rd in Nashville. That was his best LIV finish of the season. And then 9th at Valderrama. Obviously, Valderrama is a very testing course. Certainly not one that Bryson's going to be able to overpower. I think the JCB is a lot more up his street, and he should pick up easy birdies on some of those shorter holes. There have been 9 different winners of the 10 LIV Golf events this season. They seem to like to share around that big $4 million prize, and I think DeChambeau can become the 10th winner from 11 this week.
Very sceptical, Joe, on when he's released his YouTube video with Donald Trump there. I like it, though. I do like it. Which club is DeChambeau hitting on that 17th, do you think, Joe? 5 iron?
4 5, yeah.
Frightening. Power. We're all about the power there. So Bryson DeChambeau. And we'll forgive his LIV form, given what he's achieved elsewhere this season. Of course. Right, he is pick number 1. Who's pick number 2?
Yeah, the next best is Patrick Reed at 20-1. It's been an up and down year for Reed, and he's still waiting for a LIV Tour breakthrough. But the signs suggest he could put it all together, and it could be coming this week. He was 3rd at LIV Houston in June, and he was disappointing in Nashville, but he went and played on the DP World Tour for a fortnight. He's chasing world ranking points again. He finished 29th in the Italian Open and then 13th at the BMW International Open, won by Ewan Ferguson. He didn't putt well in either of those events, but it's not a long-term concern with Reed. We know he's a great putter when he's at his best. He led the BMW field in both strokes gained approach and scrambling. I think those are probably the 2 key areas to concentrate on this week. And that outing sharpened it up nicely for Valderrama, where he finished 4th. He was 2 shots shy of the playoff won by Sergio Garcia and played really nicely in the final round. Just left himself too much to do, which can often happen in these 3-round LIV events. Didn't qualify for the Open, so unlike many of his rivals, he hasn't slogged his way around Troon for 4 rounds, like, say, Jon Rahm or Joaquin Niemann. So he should be fresh, raring to go And this should suit his game, I think, this course.
I like it. I was going to ask you some of the others at the head of the market. You've just mentioned there, John Rahm, Tyrrell Hatton, Neiman, Brooks Koepka, they all played at Royal Troon. Sergio Garcia obviously didn't. He didn't qualify. So what are your thoughts on others at the head of the market, Joe?
Yeah, I think when it comes to Rahm, I do think that battling away at Troon is not great. He's obviously got a huge chance. He's played well without winning on the LIV Tour this year. Could see him contending. I just prefer Bryson of the kind of top two. I was very disappointed in Hatton last week. He could get a bit hot under the collar at this course. There's water in play. Yeah. Well, he's bound. He's certain to several times in his round, but it could be sort of more so than usual. You have to respect all these guys that play well week in, week out on the LIV Tour, but I'm quite happy with my two.
That's fair enough. Strong, confident. The champ is confident. Right, let's move on then to the Champions Tour. We are the Senior Open Championship at Carnoustie. What a golf course this one, Joe.
Yeah, back at another open venue for the Senior Open. Carnoustie, obviously, an absolute beast. I think it's widely considered to be the toughest course in the open rotation. The closing holes, particularly daunting. Any golf fan will know the name Jean van der Velde. Obviously fell apart in the 1999 Open when Paul Lawrie came from 10 shots back to win in the final round. Paul Lawrie is in the field this week, but he's not been playing much golf, and I found him a bit hard to fancy. The weather forecast does look a bit better than it did at Troon last week, so I don't think Carnoustie is going to be quite as beastly as it can be. It measures in at 7,400 yards. I'm not quite sure whether it's going to measure that long for the seniors, but obviously a very tough course. We're looking at Links Masters this week. Carnoustie hosted the 2007 Open, won by Padraig Harrington, and the 2018 Open, won by Francesco Molinari. It's also hosted this event twice. Bernhard Langer won here in 2010, and Paul Broadhurst in 2016. They're also both in this week's field.
They are indeed. Well, let's look at the market then with AK Bets. Harrington at 7-2. He is the jolly. Stephen Alker at 8. Bernhard Langer 14s. Jerry Kelly 16. Stephen Ames 16s. Doug Barron 18. KJ Choi 18. And Jimenez at 18-1 as well. A stellar lineup. Who are you going for, Joe?
Well, I've got two for this, but I can't see past Padraig Harrington. I think he absolutely has to be up there and fully deserves to be a strong favourite for this. 6 of the last 9 senior major winners are all missing in this field, Dave. So Steve Stricker, he's won 7 senior majors and he's won 3 in the last 2 years. He never plays in this event. Ernie Els, he shot a huge score in the first round of the Open and then withdrew. He's not in the event. And obviously Richard Bland has won 2 senior majors this year. He's obviously committed to playing on the LIV Tour this week. So we've only got 3 senior major winners in the field from the last 2 years. And that means the door is wide open for Harrington, who's a links master. Of course, he won the Open at Carnoustie in 2007. He followed up by winning at Royal Birkdale the following year. He's a senior major winner. He won the US Open in 2022, and he's finished runner-up 4 times in senior majors, twice at the Senior Open Championship over the last 2 years. His only 2 appearances in the Senior Open Championship. He's never finished outside the top 20 in a senior major. Yeah, second in back-to-back Senior Opens. He can still compete on links courses with the young guns. He showed that last week. He was the top senior at Troon. He finished 22nd. I mean, that's a fantastic effort. I do think, I've mentioned already that I'm not keen on people slogging around Troon for 4 days, but if you're going to do it, then do it and then head to a links course the following week. I think ideal preparation for Harrington. At 52, he's among the younger competitors in this field. I can see why he's favourite. He absolutely deserves to be there.
Lovely stuff. I'm a massive believer in just backing 51 and 52-year-olds in these tournaments, Joe. So 52, that's good enough for me. Happy days with the jolly there. Who else do you like?
Well, off the top of my head, I think my next session's 53. So hopefully that just about fits into your bracket. And I'm quite excited about this one, actually. It's Richard Green at 20-1. He's been among the best players on the Seniors Tour this year. I think he's got a great chance. He obviously wasn't as heralded as Podrick Harrington or some of the other sort of senior players in this field during his sort of regular pro career. But he was a solid DP World Tour or European Tour at the time pro. He comes from Melbourne, so he grew up playing in linksy conditions on the Melbourne Soundbelt, very windy down there in Australia. Obviously, he hasn't got that big CV behind it, but a 3-time European Tour winner, including on a couple of exposed layouts. He won the Portugal Masters at Vilamora, and he won the 1997 Dubai Desert Classic. On that occasion, he beat Greg Norman and Ian Woosnam in a playoff. So really a couple of massive scalps there. So clearly comfortable in the wind, and by far his best major performance in sort of all ages major level came at Carnoustie in 2007. He finished 2 shots behind Podrick Harrington in a share of 4th place. He's ranked 5th on the Champions Tour money list this season, and 3rd of those competing this week because there's no Els and there's no Stricker. His results in the first 4 senior majors of this year are 14th, 2nd, 3rd, and 17th. I think he's an absolutely cracking each way bet.
Lovely. I can tell you're excited by that one as well, Joe. Lovely. Anything else of note in there? Who else was on the radar?
Well, he's not on the radar as such, but we should mention Bernard Langer still swinging at 66. What a servant he's been to the game. He played his last European Tour event at the BMW International Open. He's going to continue to fight on the senior circuit. He's always a danger, and we know he can win on links courses, but I do think he's starting to kind of realise that maybe he's not the force he once was. It's great to see him there, but I was happy to kind of leave him at the prices.
Okay, good stuff. Right, so let's have a roundup then of your selections, Joe. Maybe I'll read out the tournament. You can tell us who you're going to be with. So we'll start with the 3M Open.
It's Akshay Bhatia, Cameron Davis, Neil Shipley, Pearson Coody, and Zach Blair.
LIV Golf, so the UK Invitational.
Bryson DeChambeau and Patrick Reed.
And on the Champions Tour, Senior Open Championship.
Podrick Harrington and Richard Green.
And if you was to just have one bet this week, Joe, who would you be having it on?
I think I'd have it on Richard Green, Dave.
Each way play. I like it. I like his style. Right, wonderful. Joe, thank you for your time. Expertise as ever. I'm sure it'll be among the winners. Reminder where we can read you every week.
It's the Racing and Football Outlook, out every Tuesday in newsagents and available on Monday evening from 9 o'clock for Racing Post Members Club subscribers.
Lovely stuff. Right, do remember that code as well for your welcome offer with AK Bet Sweet Spot 25. Right, myself and Steve will be back next week. We'll be talking all things the Olympics, golfing there as well. Good stuff. Thank you again to you, Joe. Remember to like, comment and subscribe. Get your comments in below if you're following Joe. What were your thoughts on last week? Your thoughts on the Olympics coming up as well, not too far away. We're off to France, of course. Do enjoy the golf. And, of course, remember to gamble responsibly. We'll see you next time.